Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your man Khalif Wins here for the Making Better Tracks, episode 1. I am joined by Dccarsonmusic. Everybody needs to give it up for him. I am joined by Civil Days Music as well. Everybody give him a hand. What we are talking about today, literally, is this brand new MPC XL. We are MPC users, MPC owners, and we're just really curious to know about this upcoming MPC XL. This is not an exploratory conversation where we're going to be making assumptions and things of that nature. No, the topic of conversation is MPC owners. Are you planning to get the XL? Why or why not? That's what we're talking about. No debates, no fuss, just an exploratory conversation. We're not here to act like we know everything. We don't know, because none of us work for a Kai. That's a fact. At all. We don't work for a Kai at all. But it's literally, if you own an MPC, if you have an MPC and it's in your workflow, why and why not are there considerations for you to invest in a new MPC XL? Everybody got their reasons. We ain't here to hate on that. I'm gonna let the brothers speak. Everybody, how's your day? How's your day? How's your day?
It's going good so far. Going good, really good. What up, everybody? It's Daysun Civil, Civil Days Music.
Okay, Daryl.
Same here, bro.
All right, same here. This is how we're gonna start the conversation real smooth.
And same here, man. Everything's going great. Dccarsonmusic is on the move, bro. How about you, Frank?
I'm great. I'm just praying for your Wi-Fi. I'm not gonna hold you. I'm praying for your Wi-Fi. That delay is killing you right now. That delay is getting at you right now, brother. Oh, man. Listen, I love Dccarsonmusic. He is hilarious. He's a great brother to know. But Wi-Fi is working with the enemy to try to stop him. You understand what I'm saying? Wi-Fi is trying to stop the education that he's going to share, and I want to join the conversation. So, everybody, please pray for the Wi-Fi right now. Oh, see, the thing went out. I'm going to remove him and bring him back. I want to bring him back. Come on, add to the sync stream, brother. All right, so while we're waiting for Dccarsonmusic, Civil Days Music, real talk. Tell me just off top, instant feelings. What are you thinking right now? I have a strong feeling it might be released in April, and I'm going to go back to Dccarson to ask him the same question. My question for you, Civil Days Music, this MPC XL is about to drop. What are your initial feelings about this drop while being an MPC owner?
My initial feelings is I got the MPC Live 2. I got it in August of last year. I'm happy with that. It's nice to see that Akai is doing things and they're updating and upgrading. I hope they do what Machine has done, where you still can use your software. Everything is still compatible, and they don't leave products behind. I'll be honest. I used to be a person, I was Akai, and then I kind of moved over to Native because I felt they moved on to their products too fast and they didn't support the legacy products. But it's a business. We got to understand that from that perspective. But my initial thoughts, it looks good. They're getting more RAM, which is a good thing. And I thought about it in my drive today. It's 10 plus years. With 10 plus years, it deserves a facelift. But I guess we got to look at the price tag. And me personally, when people see my setup, all you can think is gear lust. And I don't even want to be in that situation. So.
I know what you're talking about. Dccarsonmusic, again, question to you as well. As an MPC owner, that's right. We all multi-MPC owners. Give it up for us.
Yes.
By definition, MPC, people that love MPCs, they have more than one MPC. So yes. Dccarsonmusic, what are your initial feelings about the upcoming MPC XL?
All right. So I think that it's going to be a great flagship type of item. I think that, having a bigger screen, what it looks like, is still kind of within the same format as the X. So the ergonomics should allow someone to continue if they're heavy in the X. But do I think that, and I think the price point is going to be, it's going to be interesting to see what that is. Me personally, I do not plan to buy it. Why? I have a 61 key that was just purchased less than a year ago. I have a Live 2 that I love to operate with it. But I mean, you know me, I still got two OG 3Ks. I got an ASR 10. I still got a 2K as well as the MB. So it's kind of like, though I like it, and we talked about like some people, you know, collect cars and stuff like that. My thing is, and then of course, you know, having my DAW and all that kind of stuff, the machine and studio, all that kind of stuff. It's like, why? I don't have a need for it. It would be, I just don't want to at this point shell out $2,600 just for something that only gives me 2 gigabytes of RAM. When think about it, back in the day, you know, my man Daysun was talking about how he would do stuff with the tapes, man, how the hustle was real back then. And it was still quality music. And I'll get into a little more on that about how sometimes the limitations open up opportunities. Limitations can spark creativity, but I think it'll be good for some people, and especially, you know, if you're an MPC head, you're gonna love it. But as far as from a business standpoint, it's a no-go at this point.
I agree too. Listen, I ain't got money for all that. I'm just gonna give you my straight answer. I'm like this. I have a child on the way. I'm trying to be a responsible adult, and I have suffered from gas for far too long. I have suffered from gear acquisition for far too long. You heard what I'm saying? And like, I already got MPCs, got an ASR 10. I even got vintage Gemini samplers from like the 80s and 90s because I just like the grit on it. I got, if y'all know what Gemini is, you know I'm over 40. If you know what Gemini sample is, you know I'm over 40. So as far for me, I am not. I think I'm going to talk about some things later on my feelings about what's really going to happen, you know, and stuff like that. But this is what I want to do for everybody watching what's going on. This is Kyle Leaf Wins to the first episode of Making Better Tracks. I'm here with Dccarsonmusic. I'm also here with Civil Days Music. Everybody, please follow their information that will be provided in the description at the close of the stream. And let me tell you and show you what I saw from the internet. Here are the comments that I saw. Somebody said, name one hardware environment like this that, quote, doesn't have launch bugs and that get updated as frequently as the MPC family. People have been successfully making music with these for almost 8 years, so this is such a fake baby whining comment. People are like mad. There it is right there, ladies and gentlemen. Oh my God. Let the gear lust begin for the gear lusters. That's it. I'm sorry. We'll discuss everything on the back end, but let's go through some more comments. Looks dope. I'm not giving up my X for it, but definitely getting it and adding it to the collection. Next. Oh, sorry. Oh, shoot. Let's go. Sorry. Slightly disappointed so far. Although we don't know what's under the hood, it doesn't seem like they made that many workflow improvements in the hardware layout, which is the actual fact in my opinion. I guess it all depends on what the MPC 3 OS will bring us. Next, color change in RAM isn't enough for me to buy another MPC X. I'm hoping for some kind of new plug-in standalone mode that's not just another version of Fabric. You better preach something crazy. Next, I'm gonna keep my Live 2, but I got my eyes wide open with this one. I'm not sold yet. Extra RAM, not enough. They got to give me something special that the Live 2 can't or doesn't even have. After owning the Key 61 and the MPC Live 2, I don't see the reason why. Definitely, we need more plugins, instruments, and effects. I'll keep my X if that's the case. I don't even max out the RAM now. If they say, hey, you can have more plugin slots or 16 audio tracks, maybe later down the road. The X is already cut way down in price, and for a trade in, the XL doesn't seem worth it, losing about half the money you spend in the X. Let's see what else they're gonna hit us with as far as features. Next, I wouldn't get it. They all run the same software. It's fine if you've never had an Akai product before. But like the old saying goes, if it isn't broke, don't fix it. Keep what you have and make it work. I have the MPC Live MK1 and MPC One, and those are all I need right now. I'm hoping I will be able to install the new MPC 3.0 firmware onto my MPC X. Amen and amen. I feel the same way. Secondly, I wonder if I will be able to do a motherboard swap. No, brother, I'm sorry, it's not. Great, dream big, and stick with the MPC XL motherboard in my MPC X, thus upgrading it to an XL without buying all the new hardware. That would be great if possible. It will also be great if Akai will let you send your MPC X to them and they upgrade. Listen, give it up for big dreams. We'll talk about this in a hand. Give it up for Big Dreams. He said it'd also be great if Akai would let you send your MPC X to them and they upgrade the internal components, making an XL for free. Give it Big Dreams. That way you won't have to buy it. It's not going to happen. Sorry. I'm going to stick with the old one. Does everything I needed to do. Now, if they make a smaller live, they can have my money. Ha! It's the X with a retro MPC 60 look. The software still looks like it doesn't have an arranger. It really doesn't look like anything new. If Akai only selling point is, quote, look, it's gray and a few extra storage, then that's a damn shame. It's really seeming as if Akai is stuck in the 90s. FL Studio is what the MPC was in the 90s. Mind you, we're going to talk about all these comments on the backdrop. Can somebody please explain to me the, quote, huge deal about the 4 gigs of RAM opposed to 2 gigs of RAM? Somebody said the plug-in limit might be increased with more RAM. The plug-in limit might be increased with more RAM. There is no big deal. Everybody should be bouncing their plugins to audio for one. Second, if you get that warning that you're about to run out of memory, just save the beat and hook up to your computer. Common sense wins again. With just 4 gigs, that's kind of lame in 2023. I will stick with my 61X in Live 2. 8 would be meaningful in terms of improved operation and efficiency and space to maneuver. 4 gigs ain't enough unless you can change the RAM out yourself. Listen, dream big, I wish. Dirt magnet, not worth upgrading for the X. Rather run in control mode. Computer has way more RAM plus can run plugins. Preach. Not sure what Akai didn't assert itself further. We'll see what happens next. I'm happy with MPC X. X has tons of features I don't use. I can't see myself buying another one right now. I want to see 8 gigs of RAM. Me too. 1 terabyte of hard drive, an HDMI port, and a mini CPU built in. That is great dreams. I wish that would occur. 4 USB ports. Take advantage of how the Roland MV8800 was set up. If not at all, I'm keeping my X. Somebody said, this is wild, and this is a young lady. I work at Guitar Center, and I can say Akai has given us a bunch of products that we cannot display or even talk about. I can't see the products, but there are a bunch of boxes we cannot display or mess with yet and have signed agreements to keep it secret. You know the MPC XL is about to launch any day now. Oh, wow. Must mean that it's any day now. I've heard that others say that pretty much confirm it too, but def ready to see what they have. XL has to do much better than the Key 61, he probably meant, hardware since the platform CPU RAM storage is ancient. The new XL should be the new generation and should come back with major upgrades and not just the retro look, 2 gigs of RAM and an extra Ethernet port. Totally garbage for something that needs to replace the 7-year-old MPC X. Now, before I get into any more comments, I'm going to wait for DC Carson to come back in. Let me get out of this and remove this. From what we heard so far, DC's back. I'm going to run the rest of those comments, but from what we heard so far, that is literally sounding like what we talked about offline, but I want to ask how you feel about those comments that I read off. Tell me about how you feel about these comments.
I agree. You don't want to just get something for a facelift, especially at such a high price point. And I can understand the gentleman who was like, if they have a cheaper version, the smaller version that they're talking about, the smaller MPC Live, people can see that because that's comparable with the SP404. But me, I just, like we always talk about being fathers or fathers to be, or having this, basically consumers are really buying this. It's, we're bedroom producers, YouTubers, content creators. I can see you getting it for that reason or that purpose, or if you just like collecting machines, but there has to be something else under the hood. And I'll be honest, as you were talking about the specs and people wanting 8 gigabytes, I'm like, that's a laptop. You might as well just go out and get a laptop, and get a controller, because that's it right. That's it right there. If they put 8 gigs of RAM in there, they have to increase the price even greater than what they are doing. And I think that's why they keep it limited to 4 and 2. There's also another product that a lot of people criticize, but it has 4 gigabytes as well. And that's their flagship standalone. So are they trying to make their flagship product more comparable or in comparison to that? That's one of my wonders. But at the same time, I think Akai has something that they're going to drop, because it does not make sense to just give only those 2 features. So it has to be something else.
DC, how do you feel about some of those comments? And thanks for sharing.
Yeah, I mean 1,000%. I think the thing is that, just repackaging something does not, and maybe adding a few little things to it. You got to look at, will this make you a better producer? Will it make you, does it give you your time back? Does it give you more creativity? Is it profitable? All those things that some people are making, there's creative decisions you have to make, but then there's also business decisions, unless you're just a hobbyist. So if I'm saying, does the 2 gigabyte get me more? Now, being a beat maker, but also a keyboard player, I can sit back and say, on one end, beat maker, I would sit back and say, come on, really? I mean, really, what is it that you are putting in there? You'd have to really convince me that the 2 gigabytes is going to make the difference. And that's a beat maker. Now, as a keyboard player and someone who has the 61 key, who has more RAM, I think you might be able to do it if it's more complex. But I think once you get past some of the like old school synth sounds and stuff, when you start getting the pianos, my thing would be, why wouldn't I just do the MIDI of the piano with the XL, the Fabric XL, and then if I need something more robust, I'm going to take it off into the computer and use some of those pianos, like the Ivories and like the other stuff that you can get from like Native Instrument, or you can get from Sample Tank. And so that's going to be my thing, is that because you're going to probably take it in there and do it anyway. So does the 2 gigabytes equal up to $2,500? No, that's a new computer. I mean, my iPad Pro has 16 gigabytes, and I've never smoked it.
And
But
I'm sorry to cut you off. That right there annoys me, because we're spending upwards of we spent $2,200-$2,300, unless you got the Guitar Center deal, on an MPC X, $1,800 or $1,900 or $2,000, depending on where you shop for the MPC key. MPC Live, I forgot what I bought for it before I sold it, like what, $1,200. We're spending all this money, twice the price of an iPad, but then the iPad has more horsepower. Different company, different rules, but continue, DC.
Right. So then I start looking at, because I mean, think about it. How many times have you heard people say, well, I want it because of the power, but sonically, what are you looking for? What are you looking for as far as workflow? I mean, it's the same workflow. I mean, because I'll ask you, is that, could you get, I love my Live 2, but could you not do what you're doing on an MPC One?
You can do that on any other. You can do it on the SP404. I'll be honest. You can do it on the computer. There's a guy who has a YouTube channel, and he debunks the need for expensive equipment.
Oh, I know you're talking about.
Yeah, he'll pull up a software program, and then after the software program, he'll put up his computer, and he said, "This is all you need to sound just like an MPC or a Machine Plus." So you really don't need it. And I think one person commented under one of my posts, and he said, "I know I don't need it, but I want it." So, and then I think I think that's the bottom line, that some people just are going to get it just because they want it. And some people think it's going to give them a competitive edge. Some people do think that the equipment is what makes you better,
that's lies. It is a symptom of gas, gear acquisition syndrome.
the early adopters.
Let me go to a comment real quick. Just give us the software features that we still haven't received yet. Agreed. It's easy pass for me. I'm good with my X and Live 2. Continue. Sorry.
I feel like a lot of, people who like to purchase things first just to say, I got it first. I think a lot of those
are the corniest people. Place. Unless you're a content creator, unless they're one of you guys or me, and you're like, that's why I bought the key. I literally created the group a month before the key came out. I bought the key as soon as it was available, created the group for it. And unfortunately, I have not used this since. Like, I'm just going to be honest with you. I'm that dude, But unless you're a content creator, why are you going to invest in a gear if you have other MPCs? And that's
True.
before I'm gonna let Civil most definitely continue his last statement, and then when I do, we have 5 more comments to go through.
No, I'm pretty much done, but I agree with that. Because content creators can write it off, especially if you're a business. If you're a business, you can write this off. If you're a musician, it's a business, you can write this off. Especially if you want to some people just want to get their hands on it. After they get their hands on it, then they test it out. They're going to get rid of it. But it depends on the person. It's on an individual basis. But I was always, I remember working at Guitar Center, and this guy came in and he pulled me to the side, and I wanted a Yamaha motif. And he said, "Let me give you some advice, young buck." And he said, "Don't purchase anything unless it's going to give you a reward in the end." So he said, "Everything I buy makes me money back." So he said, "So if it doesn't make you money, don't buy it." So
Right, because that's the thing I was looking at the other day. When Frank and I talking about, say, man, people keep buying all these saws but haven't built the canoe. What sense does that make? You got all these saws, but you have not built something that you can sell that's sustainable. And the canoe I'm using, because you fish, you all that kind of stuff. But that's my thing, is that having something like that, what's the point of having all these tools if you haven't even created something that takes you to where you want to go?
Real quick, the DC, there's a lot of clicking when you talk, so you can just check the audio real quick. And while you do that, I'm going to go through a couple more comments and we can discuss it on the back end, okay? All right. I'm going to read this over because DC wasn't here because of the phone. XL has to do much better than the Key 61 they met. Hardware, since the platform, CPU, RAM storage is ancient. The new XL should be a new generation and should come with major upgrades and not just a retro look, 2 gigs of RAM extra and 1 Ethernet port. Totally garbage for something that needs to replace the 7-year-old X. Let me go to the next comment. If you have an X and it's making bangers for you, there's no reason to replace it. Preach! You better preach! It's still making bangers. I don't understand the disappointment. A new MPC isn't going to make you more talented. Preach what DC said. I personally think that they are fast approaching the limits of what they can do with this current architecture. That is facts. This is the mid-cycle refresh before the new models built on new architecture are produced. That is when the new stuff will appear. On a Key 61, you're getting the essential, what the new units will have, more RAM. Nothing else is coming that is more significant than that. All the other speculation people have been making is just daydreaming. If you are doing okay with what you have, keep working with it. Common sense strikes again. Good video, good look, bro, but I got an MPC One. I don't feel like it's obsolete at all for the simple fact that I have a USB dongle that allows me to connect multiple USBs and multiple SD cards. I have a portable power outlet that's Velcro on the back of my MPC so that there's battery life 24/7. I import new sounds from various keyboards, whether I'm at Guitar Center or wherever I save my sounds and wave and transfer them. I believe it's about using a certain drum machine and learning it inside out of all of them. Drum machines and pads do the exact same thing, but just an easy way for us to navigate them blessings. For the best comment I found, that has common sense reeking over it. Do we have another slide? It might and should have something better than the Arranger. This is the 3.0 we're talking about. Look how far we came from the very first MPC software with the Ren to now. Facts. It may have more instruments and everything. I'd be surprised if this update is free for the current MPC owners. It will not be. Don't get gas. Seriously doubt it. Look at the track record. They probably will put a price tag on it and force people to buy the XL in order to get the bundle, just like they did with the keys. Ooh, I agree. Why are they so stingy with the RAM? I was hoping for at least 8 gigs of RAM or at least make it expandable. I have a Live and Key 61, and as they continue to add plugins, we are going to need more RAM. If not, this new unit is running out of RAM soon. Also, I like to see the stem separated, integrated. Oh my God, I would love that. I agree. Why not go all out and put and drop 32 gigs of RAM? Because it's going to be probably $32 to $4,000 and be up to date with everything, run smooth and new updates, and make it expandable and removable in case it fails, so it's more user friendly. That's an investment I would spend money on, no doubt, especially with the Live 2 because it's portable and you can plug it into a computer. The MPC X, the MPC One, the MPC Live, and the Akai Force contain 2 gigs of RAM, which forms the main part of the board. This is the fixed amount of RAM and cannot be upgraded. The MPC Key has 4 gigs. Upon booting up your machine, this RAM has to manage the operating system, which is Linux, and also the MPC software application by itself. Before I move on to your feedback on those comments, Civil, you've had, and you still have the the Machine Plus.
Mm-hmm.
And I bring this up for a reason. How much RAM came in the Machine Plus when it was released?
It says four gigabytes of RAM.
Now, two different software architectures. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
asking for a comparison or prediction because everything else is speculation because the MPC XL isn't out. What has the difference of having 4 gigs in a standalone, different software architecture, has done to your production workflow that you are making possible speculation on how it'll be with the MPC XL? Because I hope it ain't the bug issues with the MPCX.
So when I look at, I'm gonna talk about from what I currently have.
Mm-hmm.
So when I look at the differences between the two devices, I will have to say that the MPC handles a lot more information better. And I'm gonna say it from this standpoint because even though there are limitations, you have non-destructive chopping, and with the non-destructive chopping, you can do a little more. The only limitation is, you're limited with the amount of plugins that you can use at a time. Um, you're not as limited with the Machine Plus, but it uses a lot of CPU. And with it using a lot of CPU, you have to create workarounds. And kind of like what one of the the commenter said, you just basically turn it into audio. So once you do that, then you don't have to use that particular effect or anything like that anymore.
Which is a legacy technique for everybody over 40. Again, I train nothing but teenagers. I've worked with people in their 20s on beats. This is not an ageism debate. We will not be doing this here. Ain't no age better than no age. If you got the passion for music, got the passion for music. That's my disclaimer. Right. Do not get it twisted in these YouTube streets. Don't start hating. Continue, Civil. Sorry. I had to put that out there because you know they're going to start.
No, so that's good. The thing that I think Native Instruments has the one leg up is the fact that the filing system and how you can favorite files or sounds. If you have a sound, you can favorite it instead of me making an entire program in order to favorite my sounds. So where there are a lot of pluses with both machines, I'm not going to say one is better than the other. Mm-hmm. It's about preference. Mm-hmm. But when I started looking it up because I was going to do a comparison video, and I said, wait a minute, the Machine Plus already has 4 gigabytes of RAM. So with 4 gigabytes of RAM, so are they trying to make their flagship more comparable to Native Instruments? So that's why I said we really got to see what's under the hood. When we see what's under the hood, then you can make a better determination. And the way Akai has been churning it out, I look at it like this. You know how, in social media and content creation, the more you keep your face out there, the better. Mm-hmm. I think Akai has really increased their market share. They're paying attention to what people are doing and using. So they're like, we got to keep ourselves out there. So if we can keep creating these products and we keep ourselves in front of us, we can get new customers. I think they're looking at that as well. We're going to get some of the people that already have some, but we're going to get new customers as well because we're looking at the market share. So that's what I get out of it. Anybody else?
DC.
As far as the comments go, a lot of spot on. I see some common themes like people are asking the so what of the XL. What does that give me more? And that's a good question to ask. I mean, even corporate America, you ask the what's the so what behind it? I think that, for me, I like going into my computer user machine because it's just really easy. And I mean, I still got a bunch of vintage gear. But I think that the XL, I struggle to find out who exactly is that marketed to. Because the way music is made nowadays, I'm telling you, I've seen stuff. I still got 4-track recorders. I'm trying to figure out what is it that you need to do that you need to spend, unless you are a content creator or you're a top producer that, you got stuff coming in and out and you're making a lot. What is it that this is supposed to do that you can't already do? How much, are we talking about making it seconds faster, minutes faster, or seconds? Because seconds, I just don't get it. Just being honest.
I want to add to this. I think, answering your question, DC, because we all know Akai's trend lines. I got my first MPC in the 90s. let's think about, and the company's changed since then. We're not going to make an assumption, but let's think about their trend line since the Ren came out. What is the trend? Anytime it's a new flagship, it's a new refresh, right? And then it comes along with the smaller versions after the flagship. My hope and prayer is that right now Akai is being innovative. Why? 2 reasons. Number one, in this current market where software is getting so smarter when they're utilizing AI techniques and people are making full projects off of AI, Akai has to decide as a company, what are they going to do? Are we just going to dump the same software, do what we've normally done since the Ren? Hey, to get the flagship, you get the same upgrades we put in a smaller version before we launched the new flagship between the Ren and the MPC Live and the X. Remember the time frame between when the MPC Studio, the gray versions, I had it. I had the MPC Studio, and the Ren came out. In that time between the MPC Live and the MPC Ren, Live MK1 came out. Remember that time frame? I think the Live came out first, and then the X came out after. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments or stuff like that. The Akai has to decide: are we going to just 4 gigs of RAM? Add that new Flex plugin in. That's why they pre-released it. I'm assuming probably the new Flex plugin, which is the MPC version, the Air Instruments version of Gross Beats. If you know, you know. And we're gonna dump the same instrument collection from the MPC key, and then add new plugins, a ton of plugins to suffice for the 4 gigs of RAM. Or are we gonna do what I just said, and they're gonna innovate? Because right now, the second reason that Akai needs to innovate, Native Instruments have learned their lesson from the millions of complaints on CPU issues that people still have to this day from the MPC X. So thinking about it from a business level, not MPC X, sorry, the Machine Plus. Native Instruments is learning the harsh lesson through the comments and have released update after update. Every company has their own problems. We're not talking about one company's better than the other, but since we're talking in the business mind, Akai has to decide, are we just gonna do what we have traditionally done? Put new software, put the instrument bundle for MPC key. We're gonna do slight increases, or are we going to innovate? Because I'm telling you now, and I've said this to DC or offline in conversations, and I think I said it to you offline in conversations as well, Civil. Native Instruments is going to respond with, I'm assuming, but look at the trend lines, with a new machine standalone that is going to smack the current and even the assumed MPCX features, assumed, in the face if Akai follows the same trend lines. Tell me if you agree with that point or don't agree that Native Instruments is literally, they always do this. They waited for the Ren to drop, and I think something else dropped. They waited for and something else dropped. You know, the trend lines. Do you believe, both of y'all, that Native Instruments just wait and go ahead, drop your XL, but we're going to innovate? Do you believe that's happening? And second question, do you believe if Akai is going to stay doing what they usually do in their business, or they're going to innovate? Those are the 2 questions I want to ask to the panel. Anybody can go.
Well, being a Native Instruments user, and being in some of the the community chats on the forum, I want to see what they're going to currently do. So I can't really speculate. I do think they're going to build upon it and make something better. Everybody's saying, do this for the next iteration. Do this, we're expecting this. But I think they're going to make, if they come out with something soon, they're going to make a lot of people that bought a Machine Plus upset. So, because, I haven't seen an update. And last year they said, they were going to make updates in the new year. So I think there's still things to be worked out. But I will say this, Native Instruments has been innovative in the past. And what I mean is when they came out from the Studio to the MK3, that was an innovation. I think, and this is what I thought about really. Okay, think about if you have a Lexus. Let's say you have a Lexus NX, and then there's a Lexus LX, all right? But you got more features in your Lexus NX than you do in your Lexus LX. Then the person that has the Lexus LX is going to be upset, especially if y'all have a comparable model, all right? So I think what they're trying to do is make their flagship more robust than the other products that they currently have. You know what I mean? So I think that's something. Then coming out with the new software as well, I'm looking at it from that perspective because everything right now is just speculation. But I have to say, I think in the native, I believe they're watching, and I pray they pay attention because, there's a lot of things that need to be improved with this tank that they call the Machine Plus. Still great product, still love it. You can do a lot of things with it. But I want to see what they can do. I feel like it's all like the PlayStation. PlayStation, you get a PlayStation, then after year 4 or year 3, you get this big upgrade of a PlayStation. Then after the upgrade of the PlayStation, then on the 5th year or the 6th year, you come out with a new PlayStation, just like Apple. They all do the same. We're beta testers. So I think that's the process that we're going through, and that's what they're going to use to see if something new is going to come out. I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, I'm just going to reiterate. Number one, thank you for saying the best phrase for everybody watching this. Welcome. This video is to MPC owners. Are you planning to buy the MPC XL? Why or why not? Civil created a great comment, which is true. This is all speculation. We do not work for Akai. We do not know what the XL has. We're going off of information that has been, quote, leaked, and we are making speculative decision rates from current MPC owners. So the questions I said to reiterate as follows, and I'll have DC come in just in case, unless you want to answer that, and you answered it. Number one, do you think that Akai is going to innovate or follow the same business trend line as of putting an instrument bundle from their previous, the latest release, the MPC Key, 4 gigs of RAM, all speculative, and just adding more public plugins and just keeping it that same simple trend line that they've done in their business model? Or you think Akai is going to innovate and do something different? And then the second question was, which you answered, do you think Native Instruments is going to release something, i.e. like a Machine Plus Studio, the big version? Because I miss my Machine Studio. I don't know. That thing was the size of a child's classroom desk. You know what I'm saying? Like it was the width was crazy. Pause. You know what I'm saying? But it was perfect. The Machine Studio was perfect. Didn't need no touchscreen. It was perfect, and it still is perfect. So you answered the question, Civil. Dow, those 2 questions. What do you say about those 2 questions?
I think it just getting more so into it kind of gets me still back into the same issue of I'm still trying to figure out the so what. Do I think that Akai is going to be innovative? It's not going to be $2,500 worth of innovation. That's my thing. I think maybe on the smaller products, they probably will have some innovation, and that'll be a good thing. But as far as the flagship, I don't see anything that would say, hey, this is a good idea for me personally to go to something bigger. Again, we're speculating, but I mean, they're eventually is going to have to come to a point where they do have to innovate because there's a shelf life on this, and no matter how much paint you put on it or whatever it is, it's eventually going to come to an end until you start getting to like the Serato sample where you can stem things out and that kind of stuff, and then the arranger view and stuff. Now we're getting into another kind of a territory, or let's say, for example, being able to stream Bluetooth stuff to sample all that kind of stuff. That's going to get into more of, or let's say you can actually do lanes as far as when, let's say you record into a 61 key and I can have different lanes where I can comp a track. Now that to me would make it more innovative.
All right. I'm going to say this is the last 2 segments of this conversation, and thank you everybody for joining. And guess what? If you're watching what we're saying, please, let's have constructive dialogue in the comments. I know that's asking a lot on YouTube, but we are all MPC owners, multi-MPC owners. And the more constructive dialogue and the less speculation and trolling help us as an MPC community. We have 2 segments left. The 2 questions I'm going to ask before the close of the show is number one, the last thing we're going to say is if we had the opportunity and Akai developers at Akai Pro was looking at this video, what would we suggest? That's number one. But before we get to that, the segment that I'm about to approach right now is realistic price points in this current inflation market. realistic price points from many different places. But before I get to there, MPC community as a whole. If you see toxic behavior within groups, within discords, with the MPC, I don't know what's going on with our community, but there is this huge toxicity. It's either ageism wars, that's another video for another day. It's either legacy gear wars versus new. Listen, me and DC talk about this all the time. Whatever you have, if you're having fun and creating a business out of it, or either one of those two, that's the point of any piece of gear. Stop being so toxic. So before I ask those two questions for the final segment, I'm going to bring somebody up, just since we are dealing with limited time. Just ask a question. We're most definitely going to answer it, and then we're going to bring you back down, and we're going to discuss those last 2 points. I'm bringing up somebody right now. Please don't violate my stream. I'm kind of bringing new people up in the stream. It's real scary for me, so please don't violate the stream. Hey, what's going on? What's your question? Welcome to the video.
I have an MPC.
Okay, see, that's what happens when you just allow people to come in the stream and they're just using like AI. They're just using AI. I'm not on that type of time. That was weird. Somebody used automatic talking. I'm sorry. I don't know what it is. If it's somebody that's using like equipment to communicate due to a lack of communication, that's another issue. Please identify it in the comments so we can communicate with you. Because I'm not here to make somebody that may have a verbal disability and they may be using a computer to communicate. Please put it in the comments if that's the only way that you can communicate. But if it's trolling, out of here. So I'll pose that question to the room, the last two questions of the show. Number one, what is the prospective, speculative price points you think Akai is going to implement for this new MPC XL in this current inflation market? Anybody?
I think they're gonna do it around, like you talked about yesterday, about $2,600. That's what I think.
Agreed. Civil?
Yeah, I think the same thing. If right now I consider the 61 key the flagship, and if that's the case, and it has all these bells and whistles, and now your flagship MPC is going to have those bells and whistles, I think it'll be the same thing.
So we all agreed on 2,600.
About 2,600. Yeah.
Before we get to the last question, that we can speak like literally, like we're looking in the camera and say, "Hey, Akai developers, and with all the locations, here's what we would share, not beg, but no, I would beg." Before I get to that question, I'm gonna ask this: what would be your message to current MPC X owners like myself and others about the MPC XL? One comment you can give them, one comment alone. I know DC wants to say something towards this because he be having smoke for people who has multiple MPCs. They trying to buy new gear. Before we get this up with DC, please.
I'm gonna say know what you're buying, know why you're buying as well. I mean, pretty much, because you're talking about like if you're going to go there, you need to know why you're doing it. Just do your homework.
All right, Civil, any comment for current MPC X flagship owners regarding their purchase inquiries? Not inquiries, that this purchase, just in general about the MPC XL. I'm not even going to put something on it.
All right. I would just say, just use wisdom. Use wisdom with your purchasing and your buying. That's the biggest thing right there. Don't go buy a hammer when you are 12 hammers. That's it.
I'm feeling these carpentry analogies. I'm from the city. I need to learn how to build something. For real. I need to learn how to build something. I just feel like I'm just inadequate in building. You're talking about saws. But it's true. If we have a bunch of hammers, that means something else in New York. No pun intended. It just means, you're from Jersey. You know what that means. But if we're a multi-MPC user, what's the point? Like, real talk. The only thing, I told DC this on the phone call, the only thing that will hit my gear acquisitions button with the MPC XL, if they put the same arranger mode they have in the Force, I would lose my mind. Second thing that will make me lose my mind, if an MPC 3.0 is an actual overhaul where the software works better. Not works better, let me correct that. Where the software, the GUI is just, pardon me, more attractive and like less busy. Now again, everybody has their preferences. I grew up on the P green screen of the MPC 2000 with the floppy disk load time that went. If y'all know what that sound means, that sounds weird doing it on the mic, but that sound of the floppy disk loading when you had to put in the floppy, press power, and it had to load up the OS. Yes, I'm that old school, but I would just only say the arrangement and stuff like that, but I'm not getting into details. I want you fellas to end the conversation starting off with, if we can talk to Akai developers right now, seriously, if Andy Mack was on there and it had any input in Akai, we do not work for you guys. It'd be cool, though. If you want 3 content creators from 3 different angles, you know, to talk about products in a different way, but neither way, can you fellas, if you can talk directly to Akai developers prior to launch to XL or some things that they should include, what would you say to them?
I would say that at the end of the day is because I noticed, like, remember we were talking about how they use like the Scott Storch and Jermaine Dupri, and they use a lot of older producers from back in the day to promote a product now. I think it's that come up with something that is absolutely innovative, something that, you know, allows you to really just go into. It's almost like you combining the whole theory behind like the old, remember the old 1680s that Roland used to have, the little things, combining those and having them where it's like a actual music production composing studio. But also to a point where I personally feel that the one thing, if I'm gonna tell Akai to do anything more so than with more gig or RAM, it's gonna be one, it's gonna be having those, you know, the better plugins, more detail, and 2, this is huge for me, is sonic. I need to have something that's got that warmth and that punch from the past. If the SP404 Mark II can have the kind of punch that it has,
Facts.
there has got to be a way where you can do it, because right now it's loud and I appreciate that, but it's too sterile. It is just does not have, for me, the same kind of sonic stuff as like the 4000s and the 3Ks and stuff like that. That is the missing link. And at the end of the day, as beat makers and keyboard players, it's at the end of the day, it's still got to have a sound that makes me just want to groove. So, I mean, they can come in there and do more channel strips, more mastering, which I definitely think they need to do a better job with channel strips and stuff like that, presets and things like that. They got to do better but I understand they're limited on horsepower. But as far as when I get out to the converters, to me, it makes no sense to, hey, don't just give me an emulation of an MPC 3K. You can make me a $200 or $300 box that all it's got to have is 2 outs that's got that punch, that grit, that even a switch on it that I can change it so that it gives me that warmth. Because, I mean, there's the reason why people are buying SP1200 remakes for a reason.
Just about to say that. Go ahead. If Rossum
No, that
can
was
do it, so can you, Akai. If Rossum can re-release the SP1200, so can you, Akai. Listen to your people, Akai. We are your people. We've been here since the 90s. Listen to your tribe. If Rossum Electronics can re-release the SP1200 and people are actually paying $4,000 plus or whatever the price is, if Isla Instruments can release a S2400 and they're selling it for $27.99, if you put the back of all the outputs of the MPC 3000, same components in the new XL, take my cash. Sorry, continue, DC, before we get to a civil response.
No, that's all I had.
Go ahead, Silver. That little rant was my response. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I just got excited when you said it.
That's good. I think I would do something where you're not limited in the amount of effects and the amount of plugins you can use, especially if you're a composer. If you're composing with and then people would say, well, why would you compose with the MPC? There are some people that their MPC is their main instrument. So you don't want those limitations, even though there are workarounds for that. So that's what I would kind of think about there, just for that person that all this is the only instrument they have. And they, you want to be able to do many things with it. And so I would it needs to be like Native Instruments, where you have a lot of people that are in the forums and they're telling you what they like and what they don't like, and you're listening to it, and then you're making those changes. I'm not saying that they're not, because they are making changes, but why just that? One thing that infuriated me was the different colorway. When they came out with all these different colorways for the same box, I'm like, it's the same thing. Let's just not have something that's just a different color. When they came out with the Live 2, it was a real step up from the Live. So let's see if this is going to be a step up from the X. That's just the way I look at it.
I want to thank both of you brothers for bringing your input again. To MPC owners who see this video, please, let's have a community dialogue. I'm not talking about let's kumbaya and all like each other. No, can we just please for once, for this year, right? Instead of bickering, this is better, that is better. This is a constructive dialogue. That's the first thing I say. Let's have a healthy MPC community, because like I tell DC all the time on the phone, look at Roland SP 404's community. Now, mind you, this conversation is not for a Kai. I'm talking to the MPC owners at large. The SP 404 community is such a healthy community of creatives trying to learn how to be better creatives. The MPC community is unfortunately toxic. Not because I say so. You don't believe me? Go to every MPC group on every platform. You're going to see the hatred in the comments. Real talk, the ageism in the comments. The people saying ridiculous stuff like, oh, it's better than software. We don't care about that. Look at the SP44 community. I'm an Ableton head, Ableton Live. Look at the Ableton community. Hell, look at the FL Studio community. They don't waste time arguing about plugins. Let's try this trick. Let's try this trick. It's a learning community. My plea, and the reason this video is titled MPC Owners, are you buying an MPC XL when you have an MPC? That title means let's come together as a community, not waste time speculating. Speculation is a whack use of energy. But let's come together, create new ideas so that if somebody from Akai sees this video, they can hear our honest discourse and communal conversation. And if everybody's not going to get what we all want, but at least it'll create and foster a community where the machine can get better in each iteration. I will say this, everybody please follow Civil Days Music. Everybody please follow Dccarsonmusic. And before we close out the show, I most definitely want to give these brothers time to plug what they got going on, plug their pages, and tell them what they got lined up for this year. Anybody can go.
All right. Well, with me, I'm just right now doing content creation, trying to come out with other products and things of that nature. I got my series, things you didn't know about music or things you didn't know about hip hop. Please pay attention to that. We break down big breakbeat samples. We talk about what a lot of people use, not snitching, but just talking about information that's already out there. So, and you can check me out on YouTube as well as TikTok and Instagram, all under Civil Days Music.
And I love his TikToks and I love his YouTube videos. I actually found him because he was one of the main people that kept it a thou wow regarding the Machine Plus, and he kept it thorough. And that was like, yo, he's a real one. And his TikTok video is a bomb in his education. DC?
All right, everybody, I'm DC Carson. I'm actually 25 years military. Just recently retired. I was a Black Hawk pilot. So I'm all about being specifics, being precise, all that kind of stuff, but also just chasing your dreams. And I ask that you can follow me on Instagram. You're going to see great content. As far as YouTube, I'm kicking that page off. Just got my podcast up in yesterday. So I ask you to even go and subscribe, because what's going to happen in my space, I'm going to show you how to recreate the hits. I'm going to talk about different gear just from an ergonomics thing. But the main thing is I'm going to get you into business, mindset, creative thinking, critical thinking, problem solving. And we're going to get into the headspace, because sometimes you can't make the music if you don't have the headspace. And so it's going to be all kind of stuff. It'll be about life. You might see me cooking a brisket and then turn around and redoing a track from back in the day. But it's all things that you as a well-rounded person will make well-rounded music. So again, follow me on Instagram, IG, DC Carson Music, as well as YouTube, DC Carson Music, and I look forward to just connecting with each and every one of you. Thanks,
You said brisket and messed up my lunch choices. Why'd you mess up my lunch choices? You made my lunch look trash saying brisket. I'm just going to put it out there. I'm probably going to get some fast food nonsense. You're talking about smoking a brisket and making a hit on MPC Key. And I want to tell everybody, the reason I like DC Carson's music's content, because it helps me think better. And like he said, if you think better, you make better music. But not only that, he's a musician and not just a beat maker. I don't know how to play nothing, no instrument or nothing. And it's refreshing, and it helps it helps me see, wow, maybe I do need to take piano lessons. He did over Jeanne songs. He does cover songs. And when the MPC key first came out, he was showing people you can make classic hits and have it sonically the way that you need it to. And when you recreate classic hits, then it gives an idea how to use the gear better. So watching this content makes me think about, wow, I didn't know that I can push the MPC key to their limits. Watching Civil Days music, it's about education. And it's about, you know, just keeping it honest with gear and having a realistic standpoint on gear while you're getting educated, while you're hearing something fire. And guess what? No gimmick, they're 100%, and you can see it. Don't believe me, look at their content. If you think I'm butt kissing, look at their content. For the MPC users that are watching this video, constructive conversation in the comments will help us thrive as a community. I'm gonna say it for the 15th time. Let's stop being toxic and start being productive. To Akai, whatever you come out with, we've been faithful for decades. Dang, I could say decades. Yep, I'm old. But whatever you come out with, we're going to work with it. If for the current MPC owners, if you don't need the XL, need is based on you. Civil Days said, use wisdom. DC Carson said, you know, what is that investment for? If it's a hobby, great. But if you're trying to start a business, and I'm a content strategist, a content creator, you can see my morning motivation shows every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday at 8 a.m. Eastern time on YouTube Live. If you want to get a quick pick-me-up, great, cool. But I'm a content strategist and I do social media strategy. What does that mean in English to an MPC user? If you're an MPC user and getting tired of just posting your beats in places and not getting traction, you want a brand, hit me in my link in bio, do a consultation. I'll be dropping more videos on that because I think that producers should be educated in knowing how to sell their art and not let their art be at the will of somebody else's price range. Our beats are worth money. Our beats can feed our families in more ways than we think. And that's what I do content strategy for. And the reason I want to bring these brothers up, Civil Days has great helpful information that can add to the community. DC has great helpful information from another angle that can add to a community. I have different information. Us three coming together like MPC Voltron, that's funny. That's funny. That could be used later for us as our show team, but we'll leave that later. Let's just all make better tracks. And this is the first episode of Make Better Tracks Daily. Please subscribe to these brothers. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Put on the click notifications. Everybody have a great day. I'll talk to you brothers directly after this. I know Civil has to do something. And everybody, please use wisdom, whatever comes out from Akai, and use what you have to get what you want. Peace, everybody. Have a great one. Thanks again, fellas, for coming by. All right, peace.